This is Chris Anderson, a retired fugitive investigator who spent 25 years hunting down violent criminals.
Most of the guys that we look for were usually murderers, robbers, bank robbers. They ran the gamut of the most violent crimes that we have in our society today.
Today, Chris is going to review some of Hollywood's greatest manhunt scenes to determine what they get right and wrong.
So today we'll be looking at some clips. These clips will be of movies that we've all seen or heard of. And we'll talk about how some of those clips relate to real life fugitive investigative experience, and some of it relates to more of movie magic. First up, Joker. In this scene, cops are chasing the Joker through the city. I've seen that happen so many times, it's ridiculous. Some of the guys can get up and go right back to running just like Arthur did, and then some of them can't. As a fugitive investigator, this is probably your worst nightmare. The person that you're pursuing gets on a crowded train and everyone is in some way almost dressed alike, but you still have to pursue that person. You have to find some way to take that person into custody because now he knows that you are after him. Police! I would never pull my weapon out in a place where I didn't have as much control as possible. As fugitive investigators, we train to have your gun down at low ready, close to your body where you can have as much control over it as possible. You don't go through a train full of people in a huge crowd with your weapon pointed out in front of you. That's a tactical error. You see where that tactical error caused him to be jumped on by the citizens that are inside of that train who really don't know that these guys are cops, and they are doing what they know in order to keep themselves from being his next victim. They take him down, they take his weapon, and they begin to pummel him. But that mistake is what causes the Joker, who's the fugitive in this case, to get away. Next up, the fugitive. In this scene, Tommy Lee Jones chases Harrison Ford, the fugitive, through a very crowded substation. Tommy Lee Jones, to me, is the perfect example in this role of what a fugitive investigator is. He's kind of brass, kind of cocky, extremely confident in everything that he does. And that's the type of mindset that you need. Any fugitive investigator that sees a person that he's investigating or sees a convict that he's looking for, if he's worth his salt, he's going to pursue him. He should pursue him. That's a part of the job. There have been plenty of vehicle chases. There have been plenty of foot chases that I've been involved in, but I don't chase them nearly as far as I did back when I was much younger.
Officer, there's a man in a blue top coat waving a gun and screaming. And a woman. Stop that man!
Now, I could see that happening. Someone that looks normal, doesn't look like he could be into anything. He comes out and sees there's a guy that's screaming at a female, and then you see a guy screaming, you're going to automatically respond. So that's not a stretch of the imagination. a stretch. That should not happen. In 1985, Tennessee versus Garner, the Supreme Court ruled that no officer can use lethal force in order to subdue or take into custody a fleeing fugitive. You shouldn't see an officer firing a weapon at a person who's simply running away from them. That shouldn't happen. Next up, the legend of Billie Jean.
All right, you just sit and you let her walk on in.
In this scene, police confront a person they think is Billie Jean, the fugitive. As you can see in this scene, there is a possible hostage in play. Hostage taking is something that goes with the territory. I mean, you have to be ready for it as a fugitive investigator, because that's where your tactical mindset should come into play. Because whenever you have a fugitive, you want to take that person into custody where you'll have the least amount of casualties. The fact that law enforcement is allowing all of these people to crowd up on the beach, that's not going to happen. You know, if we have our tactical unit in place out in an area that could be crowded with a bunch of citizens, you want to negate any outside influences. So they would have had those folks way back and not even having the officers in the line of fire. So for this situation, this clip is inaccurate.
Shut up, dork!
The tactical officer, or the sharpshooter, he has the right to use lethal force because he's using it in the protection of another person. So that portion of the scene is not too far-fetched to believe. It can happen, and it has happened. Next up, Dirty Harry. In this scene, Dirty Harry, a detective, is pursuing a fugitive who's just hijacked a bus.
What the hell are you doing, Master VW? Pass it, will you?
When I look at this clip, I see Dirty Harry, and he's pursuing this guy alone. That's something that in this day and time, that does not happen. You got yourself, this convict or this fugitive, and he has about 10 to 15 potential hostages. So that you don't want that. In a situation like this, the proper protocol would be to back off, give this person some space. Hopefully the bus will break down and run out of gas, or he'll stop. Some way we'll get him stopped. Maybe even blow out the tires on the bus just to get him stopped. But what you don't want to have is him with 15 potential hostages inside of a bus. Really, he's putting the lives of the kids in danger. At the end of this clip, you see the fugitive jump from the back of the bus, and that's probably the best thing that you could hope for. Now all of the kids are in a place where they are safe and away from him, and you can begin your pursuit there.
Step out of the bathroom!
Next up, Catch Me If You Can. In this scene, the fugitive tricks law enforcement into believing that he's not the guy they're looking for.
5 seconds.
Shut up!
Pop out the ball.
Put your hands on your head! Put your hands!
You know, he's got over 200 checks here. A
Hands
ton of Indian
on your
ink,
head!
Drafting. He even has little payroll envelopes
Put it down.
addressed to himself.
Put it down! Drop it!
Relax. You're late, all right? My name's Alan, Barry Allen, United States Secret Service. Your boy just tried to jump out the window. My partner has him in custody.
I don't know what you're talking about.
In a case like this, set in this time, I could imagine that happened probably more than most cops want to even admit to. You know, now, most investigations are more technology-based. We would have stacks and stacks of intel on the person we were pursuing. And that intel would have picture after picture after picture after picture. But during this time, these guys were barely taking photographs. You know, they didn't have access to the type of technology we have.
Take a look outside. Look out the window. My partner's walking him to the car as we speak. Look. Old guy almost pissed in his pants when I came through the door. He jumped right through the window onto the hood of my car. Hey, Murph. Yeah, call the LAPD again. I don't want people walking through my crime scene.
When Leonardo pulls Tom Hanks over to the window and says, look, my partner is walking him out the window, you know, how that just doesn't happen. Now, I would have questions as to why is this Joker not in handcuffs? You know, why are you walking him out to a car? I wasn't a cop back then, so I don't know what the mindsets were back then. But if I think about it now, it doesn't resonate.
LAPD should be here any sec.
Wait. Your wallet.
You hang on to it for a minute. I trust you.
Most cops don't want to let any case get personal, but you know, when you're a fugitive investigator, your pride, your ability to investigate cases, you know, part of your is woven into your DNA to catch that person. So, yeah, I could see him getting a little pissed off about it. I could see him getting very pissed off about it. Next up, Thelma and Louise.
Let me talk to Slocum.
She wants to talk to you.
In this scene, an investigator is trying to get the fugitives to turn themselves in.
Hello, Louise.
Hey.
How are things going out there?
Weird. We got some kind of a snowball effect happening here or something.
You're still with us, though.
Despite what most people think, there have been quite a few times where the fugitive will call in to police and talk to him. I personally have had fugitives to contact me, and I've talked to them over the phone and tried to get them to turn themselves in. Sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, but you have to at least try.
I know what's making you run. I know what happened to you in Texas.
Louise.
The investigator in this case is trying to get Thelma and Louise to surrender themselves without any harm. And what he's doing is he's trying to draw on something that she's connected to emotionally to make her start realizing that, hey, maybe turning myself in may be the best thing. So here is something that's very, very important. And this is actually right. You always want to try to have as much of a connection with the person that you are trying to take into custody as possible, because it could be important. It could save the lives of a private citizen, a life of an officer, or the lives of the people that you're trying to take into custody.
You gotta take me there.
No help. Cannot do. Sorry.
I'm the only
You've done
one
a
she's
good
ever
job.
spoken
You're no
to,
good
Max.
to me now. You're no good to me. There's nothing you can do for me now.
I don't want anybody losing their heads. You know what happens? The volume gets turned way up, and the next thing you know, these girls are gonna get shot.
At the end of this clip, what you're seeing are the two sides of an investigator. See, you have the negotiator that wants to go and try to talk Thelma and Louise into turning themselves in, but you have also the tactical side of the office that wants to go in, take them down by any means necessary. Next up,
any sign of Bourne?
The Bourne Ultimatum.
No sign of target.
In this scene, Bourne, the fugitive, outsmarts the cops who's waiting for him to arrive to a location.
Noah Wilson.
This is Jason Bourne.
I was wondering when you were going to make this call.
What most people don't know is this does happen. There are times where you have a fugitive who is almost taunting police. He'll call, he'll talk to him, he'll tell them that he's not turning himself in, which we've had that before. And you know, he'll hang up before a certain amount of time, you know, because they think the phones may be traced or something to that effect.
Where are you now?
I'm sitting in my office.
I doubt that.
Why would you doubt that?
If you were in your office right now, we'd be having this conversation face to face.
Here's where it gets a little bit far-fetched. because Jason Bourne is a spy and he's been trained in these tactics. As a fugitive, you never want to go to the police station and break into the police station. So, I won't say I can see this happening, but I can see why television made it this way.
This is a code 10 abort. I want everyone back in the vehicles. There's a code 10 abort.
What we just saw is the law enforcement calling it a code 10 and telling everybody to abort. What we would say, this is a double lot. We need everybody that can hear the sound of my voice to respond to this location. We call it a double lot, 00. Next up,
first of all,
Boondock Saints.
I'd like to thank whichever one of you donut-munching, barrel-assed, pod-pulling sissies leaked this to the press.
I have friends of mine that are in the press, and they will call about information from time to time just to see whether or not they can talk to somebody about it or if I know something about it. And I don't leak information because as an investigator, you want to keep as much information private as possible because fugitives read newspapers. The more information you give to the press, the more they print, the further ahead he gets away from you.
These two are not heroes. They're just two ordinary men who were put in an extraordinary situation, and they just happened to come out on top. Yes, nothing from our far-reaching computer system has turned up diddly on these two. All we know is what we found out from the neighbors. And the general consensus is they're angels.
The lead investigator in this case is giving intel to his guys that are out there looking for these two fugitives. He's telling them that, hey, I do think that they are dangerous. I don't know if they're armed. That's vital information. So what you want as an investigator, you want them to have as much information as possible if they're going to bring this person into custody safely.
They're scared, like two little bunny rabbits. Anything in a uniform or flashing blue lights is gonna spook them, okay? So the only thing we can do is put a potato on a string and drag it through South Boston. Thanks for coming out.
You'd probably have better luck with beer.
This has happened to me before. I had a homicide suspect that I was looking for about 3 or 4 days after the murder happened. I'd done everything investigatively that I could do. And one night, I was working late, going back over some paperwork, looking over some notes, and I get a call from our front desk. And they said I had a visitor. I walked downstairs, and lo and behold, my suspect is sitting in the front of our building. He's injured himself, so he decided to turn himself in to me, and I took him into custody. Last up, U.S. Marshals. In this scene, the U.S. Marshal chases a fugitive who's been accused of committing a double murder.
Sheridan! Sheridan! Turn around!
After chasing someone into a position where you think you have them in custody, the next thing as an investigator you should be thinking about is making sure you can get him into custody safely. Making sure he doesn't fall or if he doesn't commit suicide or he doesn't jump off the side of the building. But the main thing is you want to get him to turn around. You want to get him off that ledge, get him in a safe position where you can take him into custody.
Can't be caught!
In my career, I have seen cases where guys are willing to do whatever it is to escape from being arrested. One guy that I had, he jumped off a 5-story building and broke both of his legs, his hip, and I think he cracked a couple of his vertebrae. Was it worth it? No. He'll never walk again. But I guess in Wesley Snipes' case, flying off the side of the building was what he wanted to do. Me as an investigator, I would have definitely let him go. I am not pursuing him down the side of no building. We'll catch him another time. Let's go on. Let's move on to the next case. When you see Wesley Snipes' character, who's the fugitive, jump from the building and then jump onto a train, as an investigator, your mind should immediately go on to the next steps. I would love to have a helicopter following that train. I would love to have some of my guys following that train inside of a vehicle to see where the next stop is. I would love to have law enforcement waiting at the next stop to see if they can take Wesley Snipes into custody. But Tommy Lee Jones stays up at the top of the building because, number one, he is probably amazed that he was able to pull that escape off. The escape itself was a little bit of movie magic. I've never had a guy play Tarzan in the middle of a downtown street. Overall, Hollywood does a pretty good job of their depiction of a fugitive investigation. But I have a few tips of the trade that I can share with y'all if y'all give me a call.